Hello, precious people. I'm Jacqueline Parks, and this is Choo Choo. Say hello. Hi. Today we're going to learn how to paint a black cat. This is the Star. Her name is really Star Baby, but we call her Choo Choo. How many names do you guys have for your kitties? We have a lot of names for this little baby. Mwah! But I love her so much. But I thought about this. If you're an advanced watercolor artist, and you kind of struggle with painting black fur, just join me today. We're gonna go through this kind of step by step, and I'm gonna go get rid of her for a minute because I can't paint with her in this room. So but let me transition to the table. I already drew her out, so she's got a drawing. Let me go put her out of the room. She's like, what was that all about, Mama? Well, she is a cutie patootie, let me just tell you. Oh, I didn't bring all my paints in here. Bless it. We're going to do the same thing like we did before. We're just going to use what I have. We really don't need a lot. We need black paint. Black paint is pretty much all you need to paint a black kitty, right? Let me know in the comments if you have a cat, if you like painting your pets for fun, if you paint for commissions. This is so much fun. I need a different brush. So I'm going to use two different brushes. I'm going to use this one to put water down, and then this one to put the black, or Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is a really good color. We're just going to get right into it. Why? Because, you know, sometimes we don't have to dilly-dally around, do we? I just need to go for it. And you know my not-so-cleanish water. See my not-so-cleanish water? No, I'm not from Maine or anywhere. I'm actually originally from California, so I just pick up accents wherever. Now I notice this is going to be white. I think I'm using a separate painting or photo. For some reason I couldn't find the one I used to draw. So now we're using one from the similar position, but we'll see how it goes. It may or may not work out, but I just want you guys to know that black is not always 100% black. Just like if you were to paint a white cat or dog, it's not 100%. Oh, look at that. We have some choo-choo hair right in the mix. Lots of choo-choo hair. That's why I kind of wore a black shirt today. This choo-choo hair gets everywhere. Let me just tell you. It's super fun though, right? Having a cat. She's our indoor kitty. She's precious. Her brothers are not so precious. They are outdoor kitties. But there's definitely black hair everywhere now. For whatever reason. See how much water I'm getting on this? Do you see how much water? I don't know if you can see how much. I may even go just a little bit past some areas of this so you can see it spread out a little bit. All right, so now I have this loaded up with my Payne's Gray. Let's see what happens. And we are going to treat this just like we do all of my paintings, okay? We're going to have layers upon layers upon layers. But our little choo-choo is so precious. She's a precious little baby. All our little fur babies are precious. I love my kitty cats. I love my doggies. Normally you guys hear my dogs in the background barking. And today nobody's in here with me. I let Choo-Choo out just now. But look at how I'm doing, okay? I want you guys to see kind of what I'm doing here. And this is the fun part. I don't know if there's a glare. Is there a glare? Because the paper's wet. You need wet paper. Like a lot of people don't realize you need that. You need that wet paper. Well, you know what? It's kind of hard with this light. I don't know why this light's being a pain. Is that a little better lighting? It's hard to tell. But I just want you to know this is not too hard. I think this could even be for a beginner, to be honest. I think this would be great as a beginner cletus class. Let me see, I can lift that up a little bit. So I want you guys to kind of see what this looks like. See how light that is? I mean, this is our first little layer. I do want to kind of get around these eyes. Because really, if you can capture eyes, then that's part of it. I mean, that's the 90% of it, okay? Look at how I'm adding. The nose is actually a little bit more pale than the rest, okay? But there is a little bell on her collar that kind of shows up, and she does have a white spot on her chest. So she's not 100% black. She is somewhat. But see how it's kind of feathering? The fur is feathering. If you can see that. I know I can do a close-up, maybe. If I can figure out how to make it zoom in. Let's see if we can zoom in on that so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm getting some paint on here and I am depositing it on here. And I'm adding layers. So basically when you're painting with watercolor, you need layers. You've got to put these layers on here. Now I do notice there's darker areas and lighter areas of black. So the black is not uniformly black on our little kitty. She precious though, she precious kitties. So I'm definitely trying to get the darkest darks in here now. I'm trying to layer them. But it's lighter up here. The nose is kind of light. And see how I'm just layering? Layers. Using up a lot of this paint. Because you need lots of paint. All right, so I'm noticing there's areas in here that are going to be lighter than the other areas. And you can exaggerate those. As an artist, you don't have to stick with what you're actually seeing. So guess what? You can have artistic license. And you can make this darker or lighter. We're probably going to be done with this pretty quick. I might work on the background a little bit. There's her little tail right there. So, see how it's already forming, like already. But it's definitely not 100% yet, okay? It's not 100%. We gotta let it do its thing. But there's very little in the photo to help me figure this out, right? So I gotta let this kind of dry. Let's see if we can do, we'll zoom out, check this out. So in my desk right now, my palette, I just used up a ton of Payne's Gray. And as it keeps drying, see how I'm adding? See how I'm adding where the darker areas are. She's got a very round face. I'm gonna bring out them eyes. It's almost like a V shape of white right there. Not white, but reflections. And look at it, I'm almost totally out of the Payne's Gray I did. Let's see, I got some right here too. So we have done basically the first layer right here, okay? First layer is done. Although I did multiple layers in there while it was still wet. So now I'm going to look at my background because she is sitting on a chair. And the chair is like this green color. So I might go around this area. I'm not trying to get the darkest darks yet, but there will be a shadow, which shadows help to ground your subject matter. So you do need to think about that when you're creating your finished piece, because, and I always do shadows at the end. There's no reason to do them before that. So this chair kind of goes up. I didn't really draw it because I didn't want to have it. I'm not fussing about the chair. The chair is not the subject matter. My kitty is, right? And like sometimes when I'm doing a commission, I'm not sure what I want to include. Sometimes I do include, you know, the background. Sometimes I don't. It just depends. I let the Holy Spirit kind of guide me into, you know, what it may want. I'm gonna put the pillow in there because she do like that pillow. It's covered in cat hair. Kitty cat hair everywhere, but we love them, right? So that pillow is going to go off the side over there. And I don't know if that's where the chair stops. All right, so we got that. And the background pillow does have a word there. I don't know if I want to include that, but I do kind of like the little sunshine thingy, and it's like a yellow sunshine right about here. That might be too yellow, but it doesn't really matter. No one's gonna know for certain like what this is supposed to look like, right? Nobody knows it except me. So that's the good news. When you're doing something for yourself, no one knows what it was really supposed to look like. But it's this thing says, "Here comes the sun," which I think is kind of cute. Let's put some teal because it does have some teal. But I don't have to make it have all of it. It's just kind of representing that. So if you want to see, kind of zooming in, let's see. There's the kitty, and that's just what I kind of did right there. And the chairs all around. So I'm not sure if this is dry. Let me dry it real quick. So her eyes, this picture is not showing it really good, but she does have like greenish eyes. So I'm going to do a little green into her eyes. And what I want to do is fill in the whole thing. So if you struggle doing eyes, this is what I recommend, okay? I recommend, and I'm just dabbing this because it was too saturated with lots of water. So I wanted to kind of fix it up just a little bit. So her eyes are all one color right now. And of course, her real eyes have like little glints of gold and green and all kinds of fun stuff in them. So what I might end up doing is picking up some of the green that I have, a little darker green, and dropping. See how it kind of spreads? I can probably try and get even closer. Zoom in. It's not easy to zoom in, y'all. But I like showing you guys a little bit closer if I can. So there we go. That is the eyes. So I have done this part, and watch what I do with my brush. I'm going to dry it. See how it's dry with my paper towel? And watch what I do to the eyes. Look at that. Just the bottom part of the eye. And if it keeps spreading down to the bottom, just keep lifting. You can do that as many times as you need until that whole bottom is light. So hopefully that's visible on the screen. Now I can't do the pupils right now because that's really wet. So instead, what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can zoom back out a little bit. Which I wish I had planned this a little sooner to do. Let's zoom back out. So this is the whole painting right now. And I do have some cat hair because she was in here for 2 seconds. So of course there's cat hair everywhere. Just imagine the whole house, y'all. The whole house. So I am picking up some more of my Payne's Gray. And I am focusing on creating a little darker areas for her fur, okay? And see how I'm making it now as I'm getting into the second, third layers. I'm making some of that kind of little hairs that would be coming off of her a little bit. So that is important. And I notice on her tail there's a highlight on the top and the bottom is darker. So we're going to try and focus on creating a darker side for her tail. And it's always good to have a light source. When I have a client who has a pet that is black, I say take them out in the sun and get some good photos of them. And I will be able to use those because that will help define everything. You know, some people have, and so you can do the dry brush on there if you want, but I'm not really to that stage yet. Not quite yet. So this part in here, I'm going to need a lot more Payne's Gray, I think. See, I'm going around that tail. And she's going to have really dark in here. Really dark in there. This is going to stay light. And then her little paws. But for the most part, you're not going to have a lot of definition. You're going to have subtle definition, okay? And I'm creating these layers. So it's very important you have layers of the black. Can you see that? Oh yes, that's starting to look like a kitty, right? That's looking like my kitty. But it's still not there yet. There's always this ugly stage where you think, oh, it doesn't look like anything. And you get kind of frustrated because you know it could be better. And a watercolor is not finished until you say it's finished. Okay, so you can be on here and you can be like painting away and you might get frustrated. Go ahead and take a break. Just put your paints down, put your brush down, and just walk. Walk away for a minute. Let it dry. Because sometimes when it's wet like this, it gets more frustrating for you to try and keep working on it because it's too wet. If I try and keep adding black in here, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to keep spreading and not be defined. The tail right here, I love how this is looking, y'all. Let me see if I can zoom. Do I have a zoom in? Let's see if I can zoom in. Because it's so cool. Let me show you the tail. So the tail is still kind of doing blooms and kind of spreading. So the water on there is still moving. It's not dry. And some people want it to stop. This is where I think the magic of watercolor happens, is that you see it kind of spreading and creating these blooms that you cannot get with acrylic or oils. So this is something that I really enjoy about watercolors and I really love. Sometimes I do end up painting more detail into this after it dries, but we see how it is moving right now. I mean, you could time lapse this right now and you'd watch it move and you'd be like amazed like how much it does move and create these little blooms and stuff. But we are still working on her because like if you look at the photo, and I'll show you the photo real quick if you can see. So the photo of her is, it looks like it's all black. Like there's nothing in there that looks like a highlight. But there is. If like I zoom in, I can see there's a highlight on the tail right in here. Right in here, there's a highlight. Because I can zoom in and look at it. And like on the forehead, you can't really see it on the screen, but there's highlights in here. So that's what I'm in the nose. The nose has highlights. And right under the eyes has highlights. I didn't realize that. Oh, I will have to work on that. But yes, so she is not done. She's got to be dried. So I'm going to use my little handy dandy Stampin' Up! Heat tool. But if you are an intermediate watercolor artist, this is good to know because you will be you'll be able to, let me zoom out a little bit. But you will be able to appreciate the fact that you know how to mix colors. So like, you know how water and paint ratio kind of reacts with each other. You're getting to the point where you understand the physics behind watercoloring, which is really good. You need to be able to know like what happens if you mix, you know, this much water with your paint and then touch it on here. So if you're a beginner, I really recommend y'all practice painting every day. Paint something small, smaller than this. This is probably, I don't know if this is a 9 by 8 by 10. I don't know what size this is. I didn't really measure it. But when I first started doing watercolors, I used half of this. I did like 5 by 7. I did 3 by 4. I did 2 by 3s. I did like super small paintings. Like I was not a miniature painter, but I did tiny paintings all the time. And so that was really important in order to know exactly how paint reacts and stuff. So you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to understand the physics behind watercolor. But right now I'm putting in some secondary layers, right? Third layers, fourth layers. There's so many layers, y'all. And see how I'm using this brush? Do you see how it's getting lighter and lighter as I keep doing stuff with it? That's because the paint is being used up. So it's being deposited on the paper. So as I'm doing this, it's creating the colors, but I'm losing some of the colors. So I'm going to pick up some more on here. And we're going to look and see where them little subtle things are. So I may end up going over this even more, y'all, even more. Like, I kid you not, like, this is literally how much you need, right? But her little face, everything in here is kind of blending. But that's going to be more of a lighter color in there. Right under her nose. And she has like little lines kind of going to the tips of her eyes. And a little bit in here and around. And I may end up putting more paint in here. We'll see. Let's see how I'm depositing some paint on here, just more and more paint. And I never like these little harsh lines, so I may end up softening them with a little bit of clean water. We'll see. But see how I'm just doing this ever so slightly, right? I might need to get my tube of Payne's Gray out. So I've used it all up. But see, that's like that dry brush technique. Look at that. It's kind of cool when you just skim it, and that gives you the illusion of fur. See that? It's kind of hard to see, maybe. Let me try and zoom in. So there's a little bit you can see. It's very subtle, very subtle. So I'm gonna do a little dab and just kind of soften that. Soften this. And see, the beauty of watercolors, you can take away and add. Pretty much at any stage. Like, you can re-wet that and it'll look. You can lift it. So I have some little areas in the ears that are lighter. This forehead area and the nose is lighter, and a little bit under the eyes is lighter. And then the top of the tail is lighter. I don't know if like her paws are crisscrossed. It's kind of hard to tell if they are crisscrossed. That would be kind of cute if they were. But I don't know. That's like her chest and her paws. And that's looking pretty good. Kind of like how that looks. I could lift this one up just a little, and this one, just to bring out a little bit of that paw. She's got short legs. She's not a munchkin cat, but she does have short legs. So don't think I screwed up the anatomy here. She got little legs. She's a little leggy baby. All right, so now I'm like letting this kind of sit and absorb in there. And I'm going to, I did want to get some more of my Payne's Gray out. do I have a tube of that here? Or is it all at the studio? I used to paint from the studio, but I cannot because the Wi-Fi there is terrible. I had Wi-Fi and they were like, oh, well, you can pay more and get better Wi-Fi. I'm like, why isn't it good just with what I'm paying now? So that was frustrating. I don't know where my paint is. Oh, here it is. It's almost empty, y'all. I love this stuff. Payne's Gray. Normally I use Winsor Newton. Let's see what I can do. Oh, you guys, this is tight. Can't even open it. I can't even open it. Oh wait, there it's moving. Yay. All right, I'm gonna squeeze some more on my palette. Is that enough? We don't know yet. We'll see. Because I do want her to be super black in some areas. Like I want that to be very black. This brush is the only brush I've been using. It's actually pretty good. It's Fumui. I don't know how to say that. Anyways, this one I think is a size 6 and it's a round and it's a nice point. I like it. These are the kinds of brushes I really enjoy using because they're nice and long with a point. Let's see what happens if I go for painting the eyeball. Or the iris, the pupil. Let's see. So the pupil I kind of drew in there. And you can leave a white for the glint in the eye, or you can use a white gel pen. I sometimes paint around, mess up, and I don't create that perfectly round pupil. I will use the white gel pen and create the glint in the eye. Ooh. You can always use a smaller brush. I am just using one brush today. So there is a glint there. And she does have some black right there. And see, I'm concentrating. I can't talk when I concentrate. But she has a lot of dark under the eyes. You're going to see how this is going to just pop. It's going to pop. But if you can see what I'm doing, I'm just kind of filling this in a lot more. The darker areas. And if you want your Payne's Gray to be less blue, because it is a very translucent-y kind of color, you can add a little bit of burnt sienna to it, and that will make it kind of be more. Wait, why are you? Oh. See, I'm just darkening all this. I think our little bit is jealous because I'm painting my kitty instead of him. But there's really hardly any variation in some of this, okay? We're just gonna going in and keeping it real light in some areas. But the eyes are going to do all the work now, right? I'm going to let them eyes do the work. I don't know if he's got a little mouth there. It's kind of her. Got a little mouth. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But now I'm going to start putting that. Shh. A little bit. Shh. I don't know. I may have to go let him in here so he'll stop barking. You stop it. But look at that. I'm just adding another third or fourth layer. Get on your bed. Get. Like a mama. All right, I am looking at some of these areas and darkening them. See how I'm just darkening it a little bit? And that's going to help other areas stand out. Right? We're going to leave some white area in there. Oh, I love it. I like it. My little Johnny. Yeah, she got lots of nicknames. Do your cats have lots of nicknames? Mine do. Especially this little black one does. She's not little. She's like 13 pounds. No. But she's precious. I do love her. She was rescued. She was a little kitten. Trapped in a shed on like 105-degree day. And luckily, my husband's sister received all these kittens at her vet where she works and was able to save 3 of the 4 kittens. One did end up passing from dehydration, which was really sad. So, so we ended up taking one. They all needed homes. And we took this one. Oh, look at that. There we go. That is looking really good. I would be very happy with this commission. This commission would be one that I would like. I'd be happy with. I'm just softening some areas in here. Because you can kind of push things around. Push that paint around. You can show it who's the boss, right? I'm going to put a little bit of white in it in some areas. Just to bring it out a little bit, right? And you can do that anywhere around the body. That will help kind of bring out a shape. She might even have something like kind of right in here. That's like her little hindquarters, maybe. Just a little bit right there. So lifting, I know it's really wet. It's getting a shine on there, but check her out. She's looking good. And I did this perfect for the pillow. Now I'm almost thinking I need to do, you know, here comes the sun, but I really don't want to do it. I don't want to do lettering. Lettering seems like it'd be really difficult. So I'm going to mix up, not much here. I'm going to mix this, kind of a pale beigey color, because This will help bring out some shadows on it. And because the chair is green, let me see if I can do a shadow around this edge first. Bring it out. Make it look like there is a shadow. So that's good. And then this is a shadow. Gotta be careful, that's wet. It'll bleed. That's like the back of the chair. And then it even has some darker areas of it in the bottom there. Sorry, it's off screen, but I can try and zoom in to this area. So see, I just add some dark in here. That's making the shadow. And you can even make it really dark down in here with some of that Payne's gray and a little bit of blue. And you can add some of that green just on this edge. And you can feather that out a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see it. I should just not zoom in because I can't keep track of what you're seeing while I'm painting. Up there. So see, that's looking really good. Like a shadow. And I'm not sure if there's much of a shadow under the cat, to be honest, but there is kind of one right here, and there's like some fabric kind of doing that. So I'm just going to add a little bit of texture, and I'm going to make sure I have that little area in here. I'm always painting off screen, sorry. That's just the way it goes sometimes. That's just the way it goes sometimes. So I'm going to make a little bit of an indentation for the chair right in here, okay? And I'm doing kind of this dry brush technique. I don't want it to be too stark, so I'm kind of going over it again. But that's like giving me fabric texture, okay? Kind of a fabric-y type texture. It's kind of a velvety looking chair, and as I'm going to make it look kind of velvety. And this is kind of when I have a lot of fun. So I'm going to put some shadow right under this pillow. Maybe a little bit by the paws. You got to be able to see indent. The cat is heavy. The cat is making this fabric sink in, okay? So don't forget, when you're starting to advance in your skills, you want to do that. You want to make sure there's it's showing that your cat is, or the person's cat is, sinking down into the fabric, right? And I might put a little dark in there. Too dark, and I can see that I probably did too dark. But that's okay. So see, you can see where the fabric is kind of buckling in there a little bit. That's kind of cool. And you can play with whatever colors you want to use. You can make it more blue. The chair is a green color, but remember, Sometimes our black cat's reflecting black onto the fabric. So you might have to incorporate the colors from the cat. But don't try and imagine things. Look at your reference photo. If your reference photo has a little bit of a shadow for her, then put that little bit of a shadow. So I'm definitely probably overworking this area, but that's okay. I kind of want this to look realistic, right? And so it's going to look like she's sitting on a chair, which looks pretty realistic right now. We can add some more green and just make that a more yellowy green, which the chair is. Well, it's kind of like an old olive kind of color. I just glazed a little bit of yellow on that to make it look like there's some highlight on the top part of this cushion. And I like how it's blending. That looks kind of nice. I've got some blendy blooms right there that I might end up getting a little darker. Why? Because this is all in shadow. And this is kind of in shadow as well. And I haven't done the wall in the background yet because I'm just not ready. I'll let you know when I'm ready. But that's looking pretty good. Because this curves, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see it in the photo. It's not really an arm rest, it's just a little bit of something. So now I'm going to mix up what I was trying to mix up, which was like a beige color. All these colors are not really beigey. Let me see if I can get a good beigey color. Can you see what I'm doing? Probably not. But right now I'm like using some of these colors right here and making a very light, I'm mixing all kinds of colors to make a very beige color. So I can put a little pinch gray in there. So this is looking really like the color I want, but it's kind of saturated. So I need it to be watery, which I don't have a lot of room on here to be watery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get my brush real watery. And what I'm going to do is go in here where there's some like fabric that's indenting and make it look kind of like a pillow. And so I'm really letting my eye look at this, okay? I'm not trying to do anything super detailed. We're just making it look like there's some variation in the fabric. But like I said, I removed the word here because it says here comes the sun, but that's all behind her. And I didn't want to really have to do lettering. But now I'm going to rinse my brush. Watch what I do. I rinse it and just kind of tap it a little bit on my paper towel. And I'm going to blend in some of this because it looks kind of harsh and dark. And I'm going to go over here. And there is actually some shadow on this side from the kitty's ear. So that's very important if you think about the shadow, right? And I don't know if that's how big the shadow is, but that's where the shadow is going to be. Okay. So now I've done some very subtle shadowing on there, and it's looking really good. She's looking so good. And I don't like how white this area is, because in the picture it's dark gray or taupe. So I'm going to mix up some taupey colors. That might be part of that color right there, and see what I'm going to do. Let's see. Now, if that's still wet, it will bleed wherever I've just painted, which is not something you want, right? But I just painted that with a light taupe color, which is not dark enough. But we're not going to try and go for the darkest color right now. We're going to let it rest. We're going to let it do its thing. But yeah, she's starting to look like her little self. Sometimes to make darker colors, you add the opposite on the color wheel. So like if something is blue, but it's a darker blue, you can add some orange. If something is yellow and it's a little darker yellow, you can add a little bit of purple and that'll darken it. So this is, we're adding some burnt sienna, burnt umber, raw umber. I don't even know what's in here. I do have this Mars Black, which I could have used for her. Ooh, that's too dark. See, sometimes I get too much. Too much. I gotta remake it. All right, let's see what happens. That's a good color. Kind of like that. If you have a steady hand, you can do this, right? Some people complain they don't have a steady hand. I'm like, yeah, it can be difficult if you don't have a steady hand. But I'm liking how that's looking. But I might lift just a little bit because that's going to be like the shadow of the chair on the wall. Just a little bit. I don't have enough right there, really. But I might end up drying this and getting it to look a little bit more dark on that edge. Because this is curved and it doesn't look curved, so I'm going to add some Payne's Gray to my greenish color and just kind of go right in that area. I also want this to be more shadowy. So see how that's starting to look really good? I like how that's looking. I'm gonna go down to the bottom again and show you what I'm gonna do with this bottom area. I'm gonna reform some of this like little fabric looking stuff. And just add a little bit of texture. It's too green, not like it. I mean, too yellow. Too yellow. But it's okay if you put too much yellow in your green when you're trying to make a shadow, it's okay. You can always go back and add. I'm liking this texture of the dry brush on here, and I'm not normally really good with that, so this is kind of cool. Creating that kind of velvety look. I want this to have a nice defined crease. And I did want more little creases right by the pot. Sorry about my throat. Actually, it's been doing pretty good so far today. Just making that a little darker. Making that shadow just a little darker. I like how it looks. There we go. Oh, and you can't see what I did. Sorry. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. I need like a cameraman when I do this, probably. A cameraman. So, what do you think? Does it look like my little kitty cat? The face, I don't know if I'm doing real good with that face. I think it needs a little darker areas. So I may go back in. And that's just sometimes we do this at the end, okay? This is just to make it a little bit more realistic. But my kitty has black whiskers. Although I do have a tuxedo cat with white whiskers, right? So this is the area where we're kind of going a little darker. But it is really hard to get that perfectly done right there. But basically cats have the same anatomy. It doesn't matter if they're black or white or cream, tuxedo, they all have similar anatomy and features. So even though I'm doing this on and see how I'm adding a second, third, or whatever layer this is. A lot of layers. Just adding. But I don't like how the forehead is really stark. So I'm going to transition with a little bit of a clean water soft brush here. Because you just kind of let your mind look at what you're painting. Your eyes look at what you're painting. And I may go back over this and look at it again after it's fully dried. so far, this is looking pretty good. And we're at about an hour, so it's probably a good time to stop. And no. Grab my brush. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she's looking really good. Oh yeah, she's gonna make a great painting for putting in a frame, put her somewhere on the wall. I think she's more black in here. I don't know. She's really dark. Dark. Like a little void. Alright, I'm gonna fiddle too much. We're gonna be done because it's 11. And I don't like it when we go too far past 11. Let's see. I wish there was like some kind of Bible verse about kitty cats. I don't know. I think we've done this one before, but I kind of like it. Let's do this Bible verse right now. So it is Romans 15:13. And it says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." So this is a good reminder. Sorry about my throat. Anyways, a good reminder to have hope and to trust the Holy Spirit if you're a believer. If you're not a believer, leave a comment and I will contact you. We can talk about it because my heart is for y'all. I used to be lukewarm Christian, didn't really follow Jesus. I just was like, yeah, I believe in Jesus, but I didn't follow him. And once I started doing that, which was when I was like 45 years old, it changed my life. And I started having a peace and a joy in my heart instead of worry. And not that I was ever a really big worrier, but I just remember that there was a big change once I started putting my hope in Jesus. And so it's hard to walk as a Christian. There's times when people on the road like to give you a little hand signal and beep at you. I didn't do nothing as far as I could tell. But they can make you a little angry when they treat you bad, right? And I'm sure we all know that feeling. But as a Christian, our first step is to try and understand them and have compassion for them. What if they're going through something? We don't know. They could have just lost their mom. They could have just been going through a divorce. Or they could have had someone, swindle them out of, hundreds of dollars or something. And so they're just angry at the world. And we got to pray for those people, okay? We got to pray for all people, even those who do us wrong. And that's a tough thing. But with hope in the Lord and the Holy Spirit, we can do it. We can do all things in him. So I hope that encouraged you. I hope this little painting I did of my kitty cat encouraged you, and you go and try painting a black kitty or a doggy. The same principles kind of apply no matter what. So you can try this at home. But practice every day. But just know that I love you guys and I pray for you, and I hope you have a blessed day. Mwah.